what is up? Thanks for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Jenna. If you are not new here, welcome back. I am someone who loves colorful, bold, gothic, and or edgy makeup, especially indie makeup. So if that is something that is also up your alley, please do consider subscribing and sticking around. I also have a nerdy side, so I today am going to be using a Lord of the Rings inspired eyeshadow palette that I came up with, a little BYOP, build your own palette, and this is what it looks like. It's inspired by the 4 hobbits of the Fellowship of the Ring, Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. And then I threw in an extra column just for utility purposes. So today I'm going to be doing a look inspired by Pippin. He is the 4th hobbit in this series of looks that I am doing. If you want to check out the previous 3, they are on Instagram, and probably by the time this video is up, my Pippin look will be up on Instagram as well. So let's get into it. I'm first just going to prime my eyes, and I'm gonna do something I've never done before and go in with a brush first. I usually just use my fingers like a heathen, but I feel like sometimes I don't get the primer on as well as I want it to go on. Like, I don't know, I got a lot of folds in my eyes, so like on my eyelids. So I just want to see if using a brush will get the product into those little crevices. I feel weird saying that on camera because I'm a child. So I feel like that went on okay. I guess we will know for sure when I start putting product on top of it. I feel like no matter what I do, I always have trouble getting product to stick in this little hollow right here. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if my skin is too dry there, too oily there, but it's like that. Oop, got some in my eyelashes. Whoops. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know. But it is like that on both of my eyes. Alright, so the eyes are primed, and now I'm going to be going into the plummy brown matte shade in this, ooh, how do I, doing this on camera is so strange. This shade here, this is a depotted single shadow from a brand that I don't buy from anymore. I'll try to tell you the names of the shadows and the brands that I'm using when I can, but some of the shades in this palette are from brands that I no longer support, so just saying that up front. So I'm just going to be taking this and applying it mostly in the outer V. I don't know if you can see on camera, but if you can see what I mean about the folds, because it is hard to get pigment in the folds of my lids these days. I feel like this is kind of a recent development. I don't know what I should do to like moisturize my eyelids. Like, should I be using an eye cream? I don't know skincare. If anyone wants to drop any tips in the comments, hook me up. So now that I have the color placed on both eyes and slightly roughly blended out, I'm going to go in with a slightly firm, dense, small blending brush and just do really close blending work. I'm going to go in with a fluffy blending brush now and go over it even more. Alright, I think I need to deepen up this eye just a little bit more, and while I do that, I'm not going to be speeding up the frame rate and doing a voiceover, because I just remembered that the whole point of doing this video is to talk about my experience meeting some of the hobbits. This was requested by Evania's Eden, and I follow her, well, we follow each other on Instagram and on YouTube. Go check out her channel if you are not already subscribed, and check her out on Instagram as well. But she's been super supportive of me and very encouraging, especially with me trying to get into the YouTube scene. So this one goes out to her. She basically said it would be cool if I would play with my little BYOP that I made and talk about my experience meeting Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan. I actually had the privilege of doing that last month, and it was one of the like top 5, top 3, maybe #1 experiences of my whole life. So it was very cool. So, all right, I'm gonna try to talk and do my makeup at the same time. There is a reason that I do voiceovers so far. I'm not good at like existing just in general, but especially like multitasking, doing makeup, talking, making sure I'm not like hiding the you know, I'm just a mess is the point. But we're gonna give it a go. So it was last month, almost like a month ago to the day by the time I'm filming this, and it was at Tampa Bay Comic-Con, and that was like the closest, Tampa Bay was the closest that any of the hobbits have ever come to my neck of the woods. I'm in South Carolina, and I didn't know if I would get another opportunity to ever try to meet them. So at first I was like, oh, wouldn't that be nice? And like just kind of dismissed it as a pipe dream. But then I thought, like, what's stopping me? Like, what realistically, one, I don't really want to drive there because I get really stressed out driving, especially new places. So I would either need someone to go with me, and you know, go on the like 7.5-hour drive, or you know, maybe fly, but that was really expensive, and it's already expensive to like go to these things anyway. So I basically convinced my family to go with me, and they were super cool, and they went. So it was my mom and my dad and my boyfriend, and we drove down. And originally I had tickets to meet Dominic Monaghan, Billy Boyd, and Elijah Wood. I didn't really want to get a photo op with all 4 hobbits, and also that was like really steep for my budget. So I decided to opt for my 3 favorites. No shade to Sean Astin, I'm sure he's a lovely guy, and I love Samwise Gamgee, but I swear to God, he's like, both Sam and Sean Astin are like such cool and like pure guys that I feel like I was not worthy of meeting him. So I said, all right, let me narrow it down to 3. And then that ended up getting narrowed down to 2 because Elijah Wood canceled pretty early after I got the tickets, and so I said, okay, well, 2 out of 4 ain't bad. I was a little nervous about meeting Elijah Wood, and I almost didn't get tickets to meet him to begin with because Frodo Baggins was my first crush. And so I did not want to make a fool of myself. I was like, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that I didn't get to meet Elijah Wood. This is fine. So I was still super stoked. And then the actors' strike happened, and I felt really bad because I was being really selfish, and I was like, man, if the actors' strike makes me meet none of the hobbits, I'm gonna be salty. Like, I will stand behind them, I will support them, of course, but I'm gonna be so pissed. But luckily, since it was a fan event and not a promotional event, I was able to meet them. They were still there, so that was really cool. Highlights of the trip. Let me try to get back to what I'm doing. This is so hard. I really admire and applaud people who just do this. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I just need to, I don't know. Anyway, so highlights. It was a very eventful time. We got there like almost 2 hours later than we expected to. We got off track somewhere on the way. I don't know what happened, but basically, and now I'm dipping into the shade Sentinel. Yes, Sentinel from Shroud Cosmetics. And I'm just putting that in the inner third or so of my crease. So one thing about it was I had to switch my tickets for one of the days because they schedule photo ops to where there could be at least 2 or 3 going on at any given time. Wow, that's pigmented. Okay. Oh boy. So I had overlap between my photo op with Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan on Saturday. So I had to switch to do one of them on Friday, and that was the day that we planned to drive up. So that meant that like as soon as we got into town, I needed to be at the convention center lined up for the photo op. And we left with like 3 or 4 hours to spare. We were supposed to have like between when we got there and when I was supposed to be lined up for my photo op. And because of the way that the day worked out, there was like maybe an hour, maybe like 45 minutes to spare by the time we got there. So the first hiccup, or almost hiccup, everything about this trip was like, it was almost really, really bad. And like a lot of bad things could have happened, but we like very narrowly avoided them. So the first thing was, obviously me being a makeup girly, I was like, I gotta pack all my makeup that I want to wear to meet, you know, my childhood heroes, because I didn't mention this by now. I probably should have led with this. I've loved Lord of the Rings since I was like 4 years old. I have memories of like pretending to be in the Lord of the Rings when I was in preschool when I was like 3 or 4. So me and Lord of the Rings go way back, and you know, all the hobbits especially, I have a very soft place in my heart for them. So anyway, I cannot meet my idols with like a bare face. I was also having eye problems at the time, which kind of worked out for me because eyes take the longest for me to do. Clearly, even when I'm not gabbing away, like it's, you know, eyes take a long time. So I packed light on the eyeshadow, eye makeup stuff, and I brought pretty much everything except for brow products. And like, even on a no makeup day, like a low makeup day, I can probably feel fine without eyeliner. I'm a winged eyeliner girly also, so like I packed stuff to do that, and that's when I feel the most me. But even if I have to go without eyeliner, if I want to feel like put together, or like if I have an important event, my eyebrows have to be done. Like I cannot have not done eyebrows when I am meeting Merry and Pippin. I couldn't have that. And yet somehow my forgetful ass, that was the only stuff that I forgot to pack on the trip, was like the 3 or 4 things that I use to do my eyebrows. And so I realized that literally when I was supposed to be going to bed the day before we were supposed to drive to Florida. Editing Jenna here for a moment, I realized that I left out a crucial part of information in this part of the story. At this point, I am 3 hours away from home. I am not at home. I had to drive to my sister's house first so that I could drop off my dog Toast to be pet-sat, to be watched while we were in Florida. So I'm not at home. So I woke up extra early. As soon as Walmart opened, I ran to Walmart and I grabbed what I needed to do my eyebrows. And I did my eyebrows and my eyeliner early in the morning. And I knew I was going to be sleeping in the car, so I didn't want to put on foundation and like sleep it off and sweat it off, because it was also, you know, what was that, July? So July, going from South Carolina to Florida, even with the AC going, I was like baking in the sun coming into the car. So I just wanted to wait to put on my foundation till later in the day. And I thought that there was going to be more time between when we got to our destination and, you know, our hotel, and the time that I was going to need to, you know, go do my little photo op thing. But there wasn't. So on the way there, we were like about an hour out at that point, and I had to stop at a gas station so that I could wet my sponge to put on my foundation. And I felt so ridiculous. I was like, you know, is it really worth it for me to do the rest of my makeup? But I was like, at this point, you know, I got half my face done, I might as well. So I stopped at a really weird gas station bathroom where you have to like get the key, and the bathroom is like outside basically. And I wet my sponge and then we got back on the road. It was like, get in there, wet your sponge. That sounds weird. And get back on the road and get your ass to the convention. And at one point, shortly after I wetted my sponge, I was like, oh man, I didn't wring this out well enough. So we were like in bumper to bumper traffic for a little bit, and I just, on the freeway, had to roll down the window and just wring out my sponge a little bit. And again, I felt like such a weirdo, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I put on my foundation and I finished my face, and then we got there, and then I guess really it was perfect timing. Also, I'm just going in with a clean brush and just trying to blend this out if I can. Maybe this is a look, I don't know. Is the harsh line a look? I may just leave it for time's sake. Anyway, we get there, and I was like scouring the FAQs in the days and weeks leading up to the convention, and they say that you are supposed to get there, it was either 10 minutes or 15 minutes before your time slot for the person you're getting a photo with. No earlier, no later is what they said specifically. But I guess everybody had the idea of getting there early and just lining up early anyway, because, you know, you don't want to risk it when you're meeting a person you're super excited to meet. So I get it, but we get there and it's on the 4th floor, and we get out of the elevator and there is a line wrapped around every corner. It's like a damn maze up there. And then there's just wall, like the wall is lined with people all the way back, and we keep going and going and going. And I ask people working there, I'm like, where's the line at? Like, is it just one line? Because there were like tons of celebrity guests that were going to be getting their, you know, doing their photos, but it was one line and it was like a lot of people, like a staggering amount of people. And I was just not expecting that. So one of the attendees was like, yep, just get in line wherever it ends, wherever you can, and we'll call you. We'll make sure that you're not late to your photo op. And I've never been to one of these like big conventions before, so I was like, I don't know if I trust you, but I guess I have to. So the next person, you know, who was up for a photo op, it was Grant Gustin. I think he plays the Flash on like the CW show. So they call for Grant Gustin, and then the whole line starts moving up, and then people start getting out of line and like walking to whatever we need to get to. I don't even know where I'm supposed to be at this point because I can't get there because the line is so freaking long. So I just decide to go with the Grant Gustin people, and I just follow them because I'm like, well, this is like the time. We're like 5 minutes away at this point from when my photo op is supposed to start. So I'm just going with these people, and if they don't let me into wherever we're going and just make me wait out there, then that's fine. But like, I need to figure out where the heck I'm going. So then I just walk right into this complete other space. And that's when the real line starts. So my boyfriend called it like line simulator, where it was just like a line for the line. So we get to where we really need to be, and then the line is like way shorter for, I saw Dominic Monaghan first. He plays Merry in Lord of the Rings. So I saw him first, and it went by super fast. And I thought it was really funny because on the way up to Florida, at some point on the car ride, my boyfriend asked everyone in the car like a hypothetical, and he was like, if you could eliminate the existence of a song from the earth, like it never happened, what would you eliminate? And my dad said Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. And I was absolutely tickled by the fact that when I got up there to get my picture taken with Dominic Monaghan, they were like blasting music, everyone was having a good time, he was, you know, feeling his oats. He was blasting Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley, and I said, what are the odds? But anyway, it was crazy. At one point, Billy Boyd and Sean Astin were like off in the corner, and Sean Astin was like showing Billy something on his phone, and they were just, you know, tee-hee-hee, and then I was just staring at them and I didn't realize that I was just like boring a hole into them with my eyes until Billy Boyd looked up and he kind of like did a hey there, like a shy smile, and I smiled too, and then I looked away and I was like, oh my god, I get to see him tomorrow. And then Sean Astin was just like continuing to look at his phone and smile, and I was like, wow, there he is, there they are. So yeah, the photo op was super fast. I mean, Dominic Monaghan barely even looked at me, but I didn't care. If I can figure out how to put photos in somewhere, I will. I did not figure out how to insert an image over the top of the existing screen, so here are my pictures. They're also going to be on Instagram. But yeah, it was just very in and out. He like barely said hi, and then we posed for the photo, and then I was like, thank you, and I don't even know if he said anything back, but it is what it is. It was still really cool. And then the next day was when I got to get autographs as well, and he was definitely more chatty then. It wasn't like he was rude or anything at the photo op. He was just kind of, I don't know, just like business. Let's just get down to it, you know, get it in and out kind of thing, which I get. So when I got my autograph from him, he had a little like paper tablecloth at his area, and he wrote questions each day he was at the convention for people to answer with a Sharpie while he was signing whatever, you know, we wanted him to sign. So the question for the day that I got to see him was, what is your favorite movie? And I said, oh god, that's a big question. And he said, and don't say Lord of the Rings because we already know that, so pick a different one. So then while he was signing, I had to think about it a little bit, and I answered. I said Us, which I think came out in 2017, the Jordan Peele horror movie. Because, I mean, yeah, it's up there for me. So then I asked him what his was, and he said, thank you for asking. And he said it was Apocalypse Now. And he's like, have you ever seen it? And I was like, no, but I've heard of it. And then I, like, in my head, I was like, oh, that's the movie that's based on Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, and my favorite English teacher taught us that book. And so like, yeah, I do know about it, I just haven't seen it. So all that was going in my head. But he, you know, after I said, no, I haven't seen it, he just gave me like a very brief synopsis of it. And he said, you know, like what time frame it came out in. And all I could say, I was just like stuck on a loop. I was like, I will definitely watch it. I will definitely watch it. And I, looking back on it, I'm like, oh Lord. But I felt like SpongeBob when he's at, what is it, the jellyfishing convention, when he's like, "Hi, Kevin. Hi, Kevin." That was me, except all I could say was, "I will watch it." So I haven't watched it yet, which I made a liar of myself about that, but at least for now, I will watch it. Dominic Monaghan, if for some reason you're watching this, I will still watch it. Anyway, so then I met Billy Boyd, and he is a lovely man. He's just as delightful and warm as you would think he would be from, I don't know, if you ever watch interviews with him or just anything that he's in, he really is just a nice guy. Like, I got to see more of his mischievous side when I got my autograph from him because, you know, we exchanged pleasantries, and then he signed my thing pretty quick, and then he asked where we were from because I walked up there with my boyfriend for this one, and I said South Carolina, and then he kind of like looked a little confused, and he was like, "Where's that?" And now I'm just going in with some eye primer, glitter primer actually, whoops, glitter primer. And then I'm going to put down some shimmers on my lid. But he asked where South Carolina was, and my boyfriend was like, "Well, it's basically like here, but just south." And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty accurate." And then somehow that turned into a geography lesson, an impromptu geography lesson that I did not know I was giving and that I'm not qualified to give because I don't know what is above North Carolina. Apparently, I learned. I can't even blame that on nerves. I'm just stupid. So he was like, "Okay, so, you know, if you go south past South Carolina, you go to Georgia, and then you get to Florida." And then he's like, "Well, what's north of South Carolina?" And I say, "You know, North Carolina." He's like, "All right, yep, makes sense." And then he's like, "And then north of North Carolina is," and by this point, I think he could tell that I was panicking and suffering, and he thought it was funny. And so he kept going, and I kept saying increasingly ridiculous things, like past North Carolina, I said Virginia came next, and then I think Ohio. And by that point, the people next in line chimed in and they were like, "Girl, no." So everybody was, you know, dogging on my geography skills, but I still got to meet Billy Boyd, and he was very nice. At the end, I was like, "I'm so sorry, I tried," because he thanked me for the geography lesson. And I said, "I didn't do that good, but you're welcome." And he was like, "You did great." And I said, "Thank you." I'm going in with Castle from Clionadh, just using a finger. And so that was like more of his mischievous, you know, side, just taking the piss. And then my photo op with him was after all that later in the day. And at that point, I don't think he remembered me from earlier, which, you know, I would say is a good thing because I don't want to leave a lasting impression that I'm the person who didn't know US geography when I've literally lived in here my whole life. But so he didn't really remember me, which was fine. And he was still super sweet, though. I was wearing a Lord of the Rings dress, and he picked up on it, and he was the only word I can think of to describe how he was just like doting. Like, he was like, "I love your dress." I can't do his accent, but he was like, "I love your dress." And then he like shook my hand, and he was real nice. And then he was like, "All right, bring it in." So we're taking the picture, and also break time, I'm going in with Fairy Fire from Devinah on a finger also. And both times, actually, the photographer said, "You either need to take your glasses off or you need to turn your head more this way because the glare on your glasses is, you know, not doing good." And so I remembered that too late on the second day during the photo op with Billy. And so I said that out loud, and I was like, "Oh no, this happened yesterday," just like kind of under my breath. And then he kind of laughed, and he sort of just like patted me on the back, and he thought that was funny. So I was like, "Oh, you're just so easy to be around. Like, what a nice guy." So yep, that was all, I believe. That's all I have to report. Florida was interesting. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Okay, so I just kind of patted on more of the Castle shade from Clionadh Cosmetics using a little flat brush. And now I'm going to use a little silicone applicator to sort of try to crisp up the lid shape here on the inner portion of the eye. I'm still having like dry, weird patches right here. Probably not the shadow's fault. Probably just something going on with my skin. Don't know what that's about, but we press on. So I do think that helped a little bit. I guess I'm gonna do the other lid and just speed through that, and then I'll try to even up and try to address the dry patches. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so this is what both lids are looking like. Now I am going to try to deepen up the crease where it's a little bit rough looking. Okay, yeah, I think that's much better. But yeah, so that was my tale of going to meet some of the hobbits. Hopefully this hasn't been too chaotic to listen to / watch. I feel like I got real chatty and less makeup-y towards the middle of that tale, so sorry. But yeah, let me know if you enjoy more of these chatty type videos or if I should just stick to voiceovers. It will not hurt my feelings, whatever you choose, as long as you say it nicely. So I am going to first clean up the edges of my blend that I did that I kind of feel bad about wiping away. And then I'm gonna do a wing, probably with more of that plummy brown shade that's already in the outer V, or maybe Sentinel, the teal matte shade, or maybe both, I don't know. We will decide in a moment. Okay, for some reason it's always hard for me to tell what this eye is doing in the crease when I get to this part, so I'm going to clean up a little bit more in front of the mirror, and then I will be back and try to do my liner on camera. Okay, that is looking better. And now I'm gonna go in with a small flat angled brush, and I'm just gonna stamp on some matte shadow as a wing. I've actually had a few people ask me to do an eyeliner tutorial, or at least try to show on camera in some way how I do my winged liner, so this is my first attempt at that. I basically just like to stamp on the shadow if I'm using a shadow. The technique is a little bit different when you're working with a liner pen or a liquid liner, water activated liner, etc. But for a shadow wing, this is basically how I do it. I like to use a small flat angled brush, and I just stamp on the product, and I do pretty short motions, as you can see. I don't like to do one big swipe. I do more small stamping motions and just keep that in the continued angle that I want the wing to be, and that angle is usually going to follow the angle of my eye, the way that the outer corner is angled. Alright, so these are my little wings. I am going to step in front of a big mirror again, where my phone isn't blocking my view, and clean up just a little bit. And I will also do my foundation while I am up, and then I will do my lower lash line and finish things off. Alrighty, so the foundation is on. Now it's time to do the lower lash line, and I think I'm just going to keep it pretty simple and put more of the outer crease wing shade on the lower lash line and blend it out with a clean brush afterwards, and I'll just speed through that real quick. There is the lower lash line done, and I think I'm going to go in with a mix of two shades for my inner corner highlight. The first one is Tomb from the Nomad Cosmetics Verona Love Death palette, and then I'm probably going to top that with Pancake Bubbles from Devinah Cosmetics. I may change my mind on the Pancake Bubbles. Yeah, we're definitely putting Pancake Bubbles on top of that, because it is kind of alarming how well that light gray matte matches my skin color. As you will see, I also decided to clean up the lower lash line a little bit and build it up just a little bit more while I was at it. is the lower lash line done now, and now I just have liner to put on my waterline, mascara, blush, and lipstick, and then I will show you the finished look. Alright, so here's the finished look. I went with a plummy brown lipstick to kind of keep everything matchy-matchy. The plummy brown color is actually the same color as Pippin's cloak in the first part of the Fellowship of the Ring, and then all the teal is a nod to the overcoat that he wears throughout the movies as well. So I wanted to match his costume as much as I could, and let me know what you think. My lipstick is not the best. I'm probably going to be decluttering it after this video, to be honest. I've had it for a while and it is just sliding around, but it was the closest color match that I had, so I had to throw it on. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I know this has probably been pretty chaotic. Let me know how you are liking the me talking to you thing, or if you are liking it. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!